and here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll, Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equination.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes, you bet. We don't need any more of these.
Well, hello everybody. It's another Falcon 9 launch. It feels like it's rinse and repeat, but that's what we've been promised. We've been promised the cadence of Falcon 9s to continue to increase, and guess what it is? It's continuing on. It's all about Starlinks, for the most part, and that's because they want that massive constellation in space. And before you know it, we're talking about data centers being launched and what have you. There's lots of progress for Falcon 9 to come yet, even though we're still all having our glaze adhere towards the Starship, because that's the big rocket we're all looking forward to seeing launch, hopefully next month, ? But never mind that, we'll talk about that. In fact, I will always say at the start of these streams that we are interactive. So if you do have any questions, do at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, followed by your question, plus your return key. It goes into our panel. We'll come back to it through the show because we'll have plenty of time to take questions. So if we don't get it to it within 15, 20 minutes, don't worry, we'll come to it at some point. And we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. We are on the stream thanks to the wonderful button pressing of Jay Keegan, who is our producer. I always make a big point of thanking our producer. I never, ever forget to thank our producer, ? We're also joined out in the field by Max Evans. Hello, Max.
Good morning, everybody. And yeah, it's Groundhog Day again. it's another somewhat early morning Starlink launch. Yeah, they have had a theme lately of launching before 9 a.m. But obviously the current T0 is 9:27 a.m. Local time here on the east coast of Florida. But Jerry and I have been here for a number of hours this morning so far. But as has been common practice here for the last few weeks. But always good to be here. Have some clouds overhead, but it should still be a good show.
Look, there he is. There he is. It's amazing. He's actually there at the launch. I mean, that is surreal to me. I'm thousands of miles away, and there he is out there, literally at waving at us on camera live.
Would be me. Yep.
Wow, the internet's a crazy place. Also out there, despite it being 80 degrees, is Jerry with his gloves on. Hello, Jerry.
Yep, here I am, gloves on. It's very windy and quite chilly out here today. Way, way, way chillier than that last one that Ryan was saying that it wasn't cold. It's proper cold, as he would say, for this one. So yeah, it's not a terrible morning, but it's cloudy, windy, and a little bit cold, but excited to see a rocket go to space this morning.
I have to ask, what is the temperature? I'll convert it to the UK one, but what is the temperature in Fahrenheit?
Believe it's around
48 degrees, I believe, is the current temperature.
Oh, to be fair, that is kind of chilly.
See?
Yeah, to be fair, that is kind of chilly. So yeah, I'll let you off, Jerry. That's fine. I was going to make jokes about your gloves all the way through the snow. I wasn't. Anyway, questions. Because, well, first of all, let's talk about this mission, shall we? Because that's what everyone's here for. That's Starlink 1046. Max, give us some factoids about what this launch is about.
Some factoids. I like that. So basically, like you were saying, Chris, this is basically rinse and repeat. So just a launch of 29 more Starlink V2 mini satellites in between Falcon 9's payload fairings over there at Pad 40, heading off to a low Earth orbit of about 253 by 264 degrees in altitude going northeast at about a 53-degree orbital inclination. So if you have good weather and you are north of the launch site, even up to, I would say if you're up to like New Smyrna Beach or like Daytona and you have good weather, you should be able to see the launch of sorts today. But heading up into the northern Atlantic is the current flight path for today. As you can see, the air and marine closures there on your screen, indicative of both launch and recovery. So. I guess just keeping on theme with what the Group 10 shell has been evolving into as of late, and also with it now being basically springtime, shifting away from those southeast launch trajectories and now launching back north again, with the weather improving up north by the Carolinas for that recovery area. The booster over at Pad 40 is booster B1090, and this will be its 11th flight so far, assuming all goes well this morning. In terms of flight history, that includes the likes of SES-03B mPOWER E, Crew 10, Bandwagon 3, mPOWER D, CRS-33, and 5 previous Starlink missions. So, it isn't a youngster anymore to say. I guess it's about to enter its middle-aged era, but it is far from where Booster B1067 is currently, being the fleet leader at 33 flights so far, hoping to see a 34th in the somewhat near future. But yeah, this is business as usual, essentially, for SpaceX on that front with the booster. But hopefully, at about 8.5 minutes into flight, the first stage booster will be meeting the drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas, for a successful landing and recovery, and stationed about 100 kilometers farther downrange, hoping to get those fairings scooped up out of the water for a reflight also down the line, is Doug. So. Like you were saying, Chris, copy paste, Groundhog Day. This is just one more day of business as usual for SpaceX.
Yeah, I always love this graphic because the thing that catches me is the fact that the previous missions are all listed there, and the fact this is called Booster 1090-11.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the day where we start seeing Starship launches at this cadence we've seen with Falcon 9, and with boosters and even ships. This is the thing, even ships with the dash and then flight number it's on, because that's the difference now. Falcon 9 has proven booster reusability. And Jerry, we're all looking forward to what's called full reusability and full and rapid reusability. That's what SpaceX Starship's about, where we're seeing both the boosters and the ships returning, to the point that we start seeing this graphic for both the booster and the ship. Yeah, Jerry?
Yeah, that would definitely be something to see out here. That's going to get, I want to say we're going to have a whole separate graphic on the other side of the screen, one for the ship and one for the booster. Launch history combined it's going to get a lot of data, but that's going to be really cool to see, some of the, honestly, the combinations that they can come up with, right? We've had just, I believe, 2 of the SpaceX boosters that have reflown with a different ship on the top. Obviously all of the ships have either been semi-recovered or RUD or whatnot, but they haven't made it back to the launch site yet. But once that starts happening and, kind of almost like mixing and matching the ships and the boosters, it'll be really interesting to see if they have, a theme of this ship will, be commonly paired with this booster, or they just kind of throw whatever's new and whatever's ready at them. It's something you don't really get to see as every Starlink or Falcon 9 second stage is expended, so it's always a brand new second stage on each one of these boosters, so it's always kind of just the same over and over again. But it's definitely going to be an interesting change when they get this reuse thing done with a Starship.
It is. It's a nice little segue to the first question I've got in the panel. So I'm going to go through an order. But first of all, I will give a little programming note. We're at T-minus 50 minutes. At T-minus 35 minutes is the big key milestone, because that's when they give the go for propellant load, and we start seeing Max doing some zoomies and looking for frost. So that's what we're looking forward to. So we've got 15 minutes until that milestone. But back to Starship, which is something I like talking about. So you're going to see me gravitate towards the Starship questions. Seth wants to know, what do you guys think of the booster static fire? So I will start and I will go around the room. I thought everything they've done so far on Pad 2 has been pretty impressive. Yes, we all hoped for a long or longish static fire yesterday, where we saw fire coming out of Pad 2's flame trench, and we only got a very short firing. But we were talking before we went on air, Max, weren't we? That the fact is, this is the first time a Block 3, or V3, depending on what you want to call it, booster has been out to Pad 2. Pad 2's brand new, with Raptor 3s, brand new. The first time Raptor 3s are fired together, because they only fire individually at McGregor. everything's been a milestone, and yet we were pointing out the fact the first time they tested V3, the Booster 19 on Pad 2, was a full propellant load. They just loaded it, and everything went, fine. So as far as that, the actual test campaign and the static fire, what were your thoughts overall on how Booster 19's done before it rolls back?
I've gone back and forth in my head between, oh, that was an abort, and oh, that looked nominal, I guess, for what they wanted to do. And with the booster only having 10 engines on it, you could, I guess, it would be easier to lean on the side of the argument where they might want to have a more prolonged fire because they have less engines to fire, so it's less wear and tear on the flame trench, and it's also less force pushing up on the booster itself as well. So, that's one side of it, but also again, with it being the first time they've ever lit Raptors at all over at Pad 2, maybe just a quick startup and shutdown would be enough to verify any sort of calibration with their with their startup sequence, and also with the Deluge and DSS systems over at the pad. It, I'm honestly still going back and forth. I want to lean more on the side that was nominal, and the fact that they are, or that they look to be, trying to get the booster rolled back as soon as they are. I mean, this just happened yesterday afternoon. So it's either something went wrong and they're trying to roll it back as soon as possible to make repairs on either the booster or pad systems if they had a failure, whether it was on if it was on the vehicle side or the pad side, not sure. Or that everything went well and they want to get it rolled back anyway just to get the rest of the engines installed. So I'm still going back and forth on it. But I want to say that everything went well. But again, I could be wrong, and we have no word from SpaceX on it. So it's still all just speculation.
Your final part there, Max, is an interesting point because usually SpaceX, when a milestone has been completed, puts a tweet out. They usually use the drone shots and get some nice photographs. That's usually they don't even say it as well. They won't say successful or anything like that usually. They'll just say Booster 19 had a static fire test. We've not had a tweet yet, which is a bit, kind of like, okay, I would like to tweet, or at least some drone shots of them during the propellant loading, because that would have been a good excuse to do it. So we've not had anything from them yet. That doesn't mean too much, but it's nice when you do see it. What we do know is it is definitely rolling back. There's a road closure from the launch site to production. There's only one thing that can be rolling, and that's that big silver thing you're seeing right on the screen right now. That's Booster 19. I will still preface everything as, this is why they test. It's a horrible kind of thing you go to. This is why we test. It sounds almost like a copy and paste thing you say, but it's true. This is a first-time operation for the V3, first-time operation for Pad 2 with a booster on it, being propellant loaded and even firing its engines. Everything has been done first time here. So everything they've got is data. Even if they had a problem or not, we don't know. If they had a problem or not, it's still data, and that is all progress. And I always say, in 3 or 4 years' time, we'll look back on these streams and go, hey, do you remember when? It's basically something where it's all part of the history. And we're kind of privileged because these are rockets that are going to go to the moon and Mars. That's the plan. They're going to go to the moon and Mars. And you can go back and try and find archived footage of testing for the Apollo program. It's there, but it's very far and few between. Thanks to the internet and thanks to streams like we do, where we've got original content, we've got cameras out there, we can document all this. And then in 3 or 4 years' time, people can look back and go, oh, so that's how they got, this is why they're launching every other day. It's because they did all this testing and they had all these booms and RUDs and blah, blah, blahs, beforehand. So I do find it important. I find a positive out of all of that. Anyway, I'm rambling, so let's go back to Starlink. Jerry, this is probably an unfair question. I'll first of all preface it by mentioning Shuttle, because I can mention Shuttle for the first time on a stream, which is something I always tend to do, because that's my background. But Master wants to know, and you'll understand the Shuttle reference here, is the last launch was 1048, right? Why at a lower number? I don't get it, smiley face. So we're talking about mission order. They're not going up one by one. They're all over the place. A bit like Shuttle used to be sometime in the early days, Jerry.
Yeah, definitely. I think, honestly, the most sensible answer is I don't get it either, because the SpaceX numbering convention for all of these Starlink launches really doesn't make the most sense at times. There's the Group 10 shell, which is represented by the 10 dash. So all of these shells of Starlinks in the 10 shell will have that 10 prefix, but then the dash 46, you would assume is the 46th launch of this shell, which isn't exactly accurate, because obviously we had the dash 48, just a couple days ago, and then they'll skip numbers and then they'll do it later. Sometimes they'll be in Vandenberg. So there's really no rhyme or reason outside of just the kind of a more generic that the Group 10, there's Group 10, there's Group 6, there's, multiple other prefixes with these Starlinks here, and there's a roughly somewhat streamlined numbering system for these launches. I'm scrolling up in our live facts, and there's 41, 40, 48. So it's a little bit mix of like, yeah, it's sort of indicative of how many launches they've gone, but there's also, really no definitive reason of why they don't just number them in order. Is it based on the actual payloads that they're bringing? If they have to swap a batch of Starlinks in the fairing, does that switch the mission? It's not really something that we know completely. It could be easy to say that, like, oh, the next up launch, that's 47, but it's not always the case, and it's just an oddity of their numbering system. I'm sure somewhere there's a great reason for it, but it's not something that we totally have a complete understanding of.
So, Jay bringing up the next space flight, which is a great app, which we're associated with, but it is a great app either ways. I would have said that either ways, because it really is very, very helpful to keep an eye on all these launches, and there's a lot of launches going on. But we saw some historical missions there from the space shuttle, and I was just looking at the graphics thinking, look, there we go. A glorious looking vehicle that is. And people go, Chris, I know you're a shuttle fan, but don't forget it had problems, and my goodness, it had problems. I always say the shuttle was beautiful, capable, dangerous, and expensive. That is, it's a cruel mistress. It really was. Yeah. And I don't say that jovially, because let's face it, there was 2 disasters, and we can't sugarcoat that at all. And I wouldn't want to bring it back. I'd be the first person to say, do not bring it back. It had its era. It finished strong. In fact, there were T-shirts from the Michoud guys who built the external tanks for the final external tank that was delivered for STS-135. And their T-shirts were finished strong. And that's what the shuttle program did. It did finish strong. It finished with a nice fanfare with no problems of note, and retired. And let's just leave it there now. We're into a new era where it's still not perfectly safe, but it's a lot safer than it was with the Space Shuttle program. Right, we're coming up to about 7 minutes till prop load, so we're getting excited about the potential this is going to be launching within this T0 that we're expecting in 42 minutes' time. We'll take some more questions in the meantime. I did notice that Alpha has asked about 3 questions about grid fins, so let's take one of them. Max, here we go, grid fins. This is a real left field question on this one, but could SpaceX make a Starlink Falcon 9 with optimization like 3 grid fins? So we're all obsessed with this V3 booster where they've gone from 4 to 3 grid fins. Would you see any reason why they would say, let's save a grid fin on Falcon 9 and go with 3?
I'm thinking about this in real time. I mean, I think one of the most obvious things to consider here is that Falcon 9's design is a lot older than Starship version 3, right? I mean, Block 5 flew for the first time back in 2018, and even before then, the Block 4 full thrust, which also had grid fins, flew, I think, in 2015 was the first booster landing, I think, at the very end of 2015. So we're talking a difference here of almost a decade, right? So, and also both boosters fly way differently than each other, with Starship having to perform a boost back burn every time, while Falcon 9 has the ability to launch, not only to be able to come back to the launch site with also a boost back burn, but also head out into the ocean hundreds of kilometers downrange for a landing on a drone ship, and because of that, because of the approach profile that a Super Heavy has to have toward the launch site, it has to fly at a much steeper angle of attack, whereas Falcon 9 doesn't have to do that. So it can actually utilize all 4 grid fins in a much more efficient manner in the way it flies for pitch, roll, and yaw. Whereas Starship has a very, very fixed way of coming through the atmosphere, and that is why these strakes are longer on one side of the booster than compared to the other, and also why why it also only has 3 grid fins compared to Falcon 9 having 4, and also the version 1 and version 2 boosters also having 4, but also not spaced out evenly. On Falcon 9, they are spaced out evenly, but they also have the ability to fold themselves in. So I think Falcon 9 doesn't really need it, and it's already enough of a workhorse with what it is capable of doing, whether or not they want to reuse them or not. Because we have of course seen plenty of times where SpaceX has expended Falcon 9 cores. So I think also at this point, Falcon 9 Block 5's design is more or less frozen. They have been able to make small changes here and there with improved performance in the Merlins, and I'm sure some other stuff in there as well. But part of the criteria of making sure Falcon 9 was crew rated was making sure that the design was frozen in time for NASA to overlook the design and make sure it was safe to fly astronauts, which of course it has now for 6 years, almost 6 years. So if Falcon 9 TLDR, Falcon 9 doesn't really need it, and they have Super Heavy and Falcon 9 boosters fly a lot differently. So yeah, Falcon 9 just does not need it.
Yep, I agree. And they always say, this is going back many, many years, my early days, my informative days of talking to my first people who actually worked on rockets, which was an incredible thing. I still remember it, actually. The conversations I had was, well, if they change this and change this, wouldn't that make it better? They go, the problem with changing things on a vehicle is you can cause more issues downstream. So you might fix a problem that you're going after, but then cause further problems down the line. So you've got a vehicle now that has proven itself. It's extremely reliable. I mean, it's crazy reliability when you think about it. And you start changing things, you could cause problems. So let's probably, if you were a SpaceXer thinking, let's just keep it as it is right now because it's working, it does the job, let's not change anything, there's no need to. That's probably the best answer to that one. We are coming up with 3, if not 2 minutes now, to the go, no go for propellant load, which is where we can then get excited about the T0 being on time. One consideration I'll have for this T0 is the weather. And ResnoJet wants to know, how is the weather currently at the launch site for Falcon 9's launch? Looks windy, but hopefully within limits, ? Jerry, how's the weather?
Yeah, the weather it's I would say definitely within limits. It's a little bit cloudy, no concerning clouds, it's very thin looking clouds, that's the wind it's definitely here, but they've launched in definitely much stronger winds than they have. I honestly would be slightly more concerned with the weather downrange and in the landing zone area, because I believe I'm not exactly sure. There was, a large storm system that was going across, the upper, east coast along the Carolinas yesterday, that had some pretty severe storms, and that might still be in the area, chopping up the water. And, I would be more concerned about downrange weather versus here, but I can't per se exactly what that weather looks like since I'm here at the launch site. But the launch weather for here is probably go, if I had to make a guess.
I have no gate between my mind and my voice, and so I will mention that Max has just mentioned in the back room, actually, the polling is 3 minutes before the T-minus 35 minutes. T-minus 35 minutes is when it actually do start propellant loading. So we have, hopefully, 1 minute until we start seeing the signs of frost. It might take a few minutes after that to visibly see it. But let's look at the timeline on this one, Max. So what we're expecting, should they go for propellant load from T-minus 35 minutes?
Yeah, so that go or no go was given at T minus 38 by the LD or the launch director here over at the Kennedy Space Center. So, assuming all was poll go, stage 1 RP1 load and LOX load, and also stage 2 RP1 load would then commence at T minus 35 minutes. The likes of which we won't really see any actual visual indicators until. Maybe T minus 31 minutes or so. That all depends on weather conditions, and obviously it's kind of chilly here today, and also there's quite a strong breeze blowing mostly toward the southeast. So it might be trickier than usual today to see frost buildup on this side of the booster, but nonetheless, we will hopefully find out. But we also haven't heard about any sort of delays in the countdown yet, and normally we would have by now before they go into prop load procedures. So. I would say things are currently trending in the right direction, but assuming all of that begins at T minus 35, we will then begin to see a big vent, or a best vent, as we also always call it, at T minus 2 minutes T minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds, and that is when teams on the ground have wrapped up stage 2 RP1 load and are in preparations for stage 2 LOX load by making sure that the lines in the transporter erector are properly chilled down to accept the temperatures of liquid oxygen in its very, very cold cryogenic state. And the likes of which we will see via a very, very big cloud coming out of the TE, and that should last for about 4 minutes or so, wrapping up at about 16.5 minutes before T0, and then when that stops, that is our visual indicator that stage 2 LOX load is underway. So those are the milestones that we should be looking out for now, and of course now coming up on T minus 34 minutes now, prop load should be underway on the vehicle, but we should hopefully be seeing the first actual signs visually, hopefully here in about a couple minutes.
Very good. And I would like you to do an Alex ooh interruption if you do see frost, because that will be a milestone. That's worth interrupting me if I'm in the middle of some sentence. Captain Kirsch, did they add green colour into the fuel so we get a green flame for St. Patrick's Day? Well, first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish. I'm actually half Irish. My dad's Irish. But as you can tell from my accent, I'm 100% Yorkshireman. There we go. But the green flame would be the T-tab, wouldn't it, Max? I mean, they literally do. When you see ignition on a Falcon 9, you'll see a green flame. That is the T-tab ignition, where before you start seeing the actual full engine thrust.
That is very true. You will see a very brief but very intense green flash at the bottom of the booster, which is mostly visible with SpaceX's pad cameras. But yeah, that's hopefully hopefully that's the only time we do see it, apart from engine relight somewhere maybe a few minutes into flight, whether it be with boost back or entry and landing burns as well. But otherwise, without T-Tab, we could also see it if a Raptor is super unhappy, which we have seen it before, with a very green exhaust being that is now engine rich and beginning to actually burn the copper lining in the combustion chamber. And when copper burns, it is a very distinct green color, which we saw most famously with SN8's flip and burn maneuver, and then subsequent boom once they hit the ground, of course. But just with the Falcon 9, I think the T-Tab should be that is the green flash that you should see with Falcon, and hopefully the only big one that we'll see. But if there's a bigger green flash, I think you have bigger problems.
Yes. Would be. Frost check. Let's see if we can see any signs of frost yet.
Jay says he thinks he sees some. I don't know if I do or not.
Yeah, Jay in Scotland says he can see frost. Yeah, Max and Jerry at the launch site, they're the ones who'll tell us if they can see anything on their cameras with a bit of it's a bit of enhanced right now. I can't tell myself.
Worth noting that there is a white line there anyway. That is where SpaceX has wiped away soot over one of the weld lines on the actual tank structure for inspection. So it can be that can fool you at times if you don't know what you're actually looking for. But we should be getting. Actually. I think I do actually see some there now, creeping up just above that white line. Yes, I think I see vapor.
Excellent. That is a good sign. People wondering why we're getting so obsessed about this is because that means they're in propellant load, and that means they're going for it. Once they start propellant loading, they're going for it. The only way they would is a hold, And that will, I would say that's definitely a scrub these days, isn't it? They can't recycle, especially with this less, an hour left in the window?
Just about, yeah. The window actually opened up this morning at 6:28 a.m. local time, and will be closing at 10:26 a.m. here as well. So, yep, they have about an hour left in the window, but of course they will not be using it now, being confirmed in prop load. Because once they begin prop load, they are then committed just due to the nature of how they load and go. Falcon 9, with it being obviously loading and going, they fuel the rocket at the last possible second because of the propellants being super chilled, and there being a lack of insulation on the first and upper stages on Falcon 9. So once they begin prop load, they are then fully committed to the targeted T0.
Very good. We were talking about St. Patrick's Day and people in Scotland and the locations. Let's do a thing. I've gone mad with power. As a host, I've gone mad with power.
Oh, no.
Post where you're from in chat. Let's get a rough idea where everyone's watching from, because I do find that fascinating, especially when it's all around the world and you're thinking, wow, that's the internet for you. But yeah, let's have a quick post. I'll wait till people catch up with my voice and then get to the typing part. Here we go. We're going to start seeing. We're got an island to start with. That's very on topic. Aaron Quake is from Ireland. There we go. Brazil, Spain, Wales, Netherlands. We've got a lot of Dutch people in. Lancashire, unlucky Thomas. Scotland, Austria, Chester, UK. Sweden, Australia, Wales, Sweden. A lot of Swedish. Charlotte, North Carolina, where Daz and Lindsay are from. Morecambe, UK. We recently beat them, Andy. Polk City. Sorry, I always bring football references in. Hereford, is that Hereford? Oh no, it's Hereford in Germany. It's Hereford in England as well. Texas, Cape Canaveral, Mud Puppy, you're there as well. Central Florida, Earth. Well done, Matt, for doing the Earth thing. But someone will do Mars at one point. Kansas City, Sweden. Ohio, best state. I've heard it's best state in America. Portland, Oregon. Belgium,
Absolutely
Japan.
not.
Wow, Hertfordshire. Mississippi. See, that's why I love this, because it literally is everyone around the world. You will naturally mostly get Americans, obviously. That's our main audience. But yeah, lots of Netherlands as well. There's always a lot of Dutch. Always has been. Even from the shuttle days, there's a lot of Dutch. That's very fascinating. It's like a really big collection of people. And I've got ESEC there as well. That helps as well with ESA. But there is always a lot of Dutch in. That's very fascinating to know. Right, back to Starship, would you believe? Resnajet wants to know how long before the static fire of all 33 Raptors. Right, so let's take that. I'll start. They will be rolling it back. Now, the question is, will they roll it back for installation of all the remaining engines? We don't know. They could easily do some work and send it back out again with 10 or even, maybe a subset even further. Not go for all 33 engines. I would have thought, based on the timelines that Elon's projected, yes, I know it's Elon time, but the Elon projecting timelines, that the next time we'll see booster 19 out at pad 2, it will be 33 engines. So then the question is, how long will that take? I would say at the earliest 2 weeks. Max, what do you think?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I mean, so even though that the fire yesterday was very brief, maybe they have the data now that they need and are confident enough in the actual vehicle itself to begin installing all the rest of the engines while it's back in Mega Bay 1. Might be a waste of time to roll it back out with all 10 and do some more testing there, unless they want some more data that they weren't able to get before they have to go either make repairs or to either the pad and or the booster after yesterday. Not sure what happened. If anything even went wrong, we don't know. But I was going to say the exact same thing, Chris. I think it'll be at least 2 weeks. I think that's on the more optimistic side. I think closer to maybe 2.5 to 3 weeks, if I'm being realistic. But SpaceX likes to move fast, as we know. So I think we should see the booster back on the pad, hopefully in the first week of April, which of course is when Artemis 1 is hopefully going to be launching. Of course.
Very good. I'm going to go to the Jerry Pike crystal ball. Consulting the Jerry Pike crystal ball, based on how you see the potential of a static fire of 33 engines on the booster in, let's go with the 2 weeks, the fact that it's still got a static fire ship 39 at masses, what would be your estimated Jerry Pike crystal ball launch date for Flight 12?
Ooh, there's a question that everybody wants to know, the when launch. But looking at my crystal ball, I think no earlier than like mid-April. Like looking at today's the 17th, like no earlier than the 17th from what I see. Obviously, you know, everything has to go well with Ship 39 at Massey's. You know, that's maybe another question is what happens first, Ship 39 static fire or another static fire booster 18 or 19. So at the very earliest, I think mid-April is an optimistic timeline, assuming everything goes well.
Yep, I agree. I think probably late April now myself. Max, what do you think?
I was going to say the exact same thing. Wow, we all agree on the exact same thing.
We all
How about
agree all the
that?
time.
We all agree all the time. Yeah, I think mid to late April right now is what may happen, just given what we've seen and what we've been tracking. But even if the booster does roll out in 2 weeks and they have a good fire of all the engines and it's checked out as ready, Ship still has to go out to Massey's and do a whole campaign left on its own still. So I think that remains the biggest question mark in the entire Flight 12 equation right now is Ship 39, as has been for a while. But yeah, I think mid to late April, I think at the earliest right now, which would be nice because that means Artemis and Starship will not be conflicting. But we have been saying that and trying to not manifest that since literally January, and yet somehow they both seem to keep moving right with each other. Hopefully that stops with at least one of them. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good possibility that, you know, you're looking at Artemis, New Glenn Flight 3, and Starship Flight 12 all happening very close to each other. And it's interesting I'm curious what chat thinks as well as which one of these is going to launch first out of these 3 missions. You know, Artemis is obviously scheduled the first, but, you know, they've clearly have, you know, the history of issues and whatnot with that rocket is, you know, very prevalent. So SpaceX's timeline is pushing. Blue Origin's timeline, I believe, is also seems to be pushing a little bit as well. So curious to see which comes up first. My money probably at this point is honestly on New Glenn, but
yeah,
curious to see what you think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a prediction.
I agree as well. And I'll qualify mine. Max, give us predictions before I go to my little ramble of why I agree with New Glenn first.
I was going to say Artemis first. But there's still obviously the possibility that New Glenn just pops up out of nowhere and goes. I mean, we know how Blue Origin likes to operate in total absolute silence until something happens, and then boom, everything happens at once. But I think we haven't seen much apart from GS2 5 or 6. What was that recently hot fired over
5.
at the pad? 5, okay. But still, like we haven't seen anything more about the booster flying Flight 3. We haven't seen it go outside. We haven't seen any real hardware move in other than the actual payload fairings moving into the HIF or the hangar over there, I guess as they call it. Over at the pad, and we haven't seen any progress on vehicles being mated or any signs of it rolling out for a hot fire test. So, but we're only in mid-March. They have until the rest of the month, and they could easily pull that off. But I still think it's going to be Artemis.
Right. The reason why I think it's New Glenn first is because I think they're targeting end of the month at the current rate they're looking for. I think they'll static fire the booster and turn it around for full integration in short order. Now, technically, that launch date could slip into April, and that's why I still qualify New Glenn going first, because let's face it, Artemis 2 is the biggest mission NASA's ever launched in decades. For them to launch first time is asking a lot. The fact that it's going to be a crewed launch as well means that any slight issue, never mind your tolerances of leaks, where wet dress rehearsal allowed them to at least continue to test because, okay, we've got a leak, but it's within tolerances, but we'll continue testing. If that's launch day with a crew on board, no chance. I think they'll scrub it. So I expect, and Max and Jerry will hate me for this, I expect numerous scrubs for Artemis. Not because of anything bad, I know, but not for anything bad, but because they're going to be ultra, ultra, ultra safe. That vehicle's not lifting off pad 39B until they're absolutely clear of everything. And that's perfectly good, and that's perfectly natural for me to say, because we know the history of NASA crew launches. This isn't the same as SpaceX crew launches. And even then, does anyone remember a documentary? I'm watching a T-minus 20-minute event. I'm not going to forget it. Does anyone remember a documentary where the first crew launch, Bob and Doug, where they showed Elon in the Launch Control Center at KSC? I have never seen Elon look so nervous in his life.
Yes. Yep.
Everything was like, the pressure on that was crazy. Now, multiply that by 2 or 3 for Artemis 2, because this is not just a crewed launch into low Earth orbit. This is a crewed launch around the moon. That's why I think there'll be scrubs. Not because of anything bad, or this is rubbish, or, it's because they're going to be ultra careful. Right, anyway, I've rambled, but that's my thoughts on it and why I think Blue Origin will go first.
Yeah, I'm also tempted to agree with Chris here as we come up to the T-minus 20-minute event here. But
it is.
Yeah, that was my main reasoning behind saying that New Glenn will fly first, is because I do fully expect Artemis to scrub many times in the near future. Unfortunate as it might be, I don't like to say it, but I have to be realistic here.
I mean, we say that, but it's already pushed from February. Like, we all thought it was going to happen, we thought it might happen in at least then, if not March, and now we're already pushing into the April window. And NASA has very publicly said for a year now, at least, no later than April of 2026. So it would not be a good PR day for those talking about Artemis 2 slipping if it goes beyond April, which is why I think it hopefully will go in April. But that, again, is optimistic. Anyway, T-minus 20-minute, 20-second event underway.
Indeed. But in that little few minutes of you talking, Max, gave me an opportunity to bandicam the actual event itself and do a little tweet, which is what I tend to do when I'm not talking. So multitasking is not my strong suit, I will say that. I will make a point now, and chat, agree with me here. Doesn't matter if we're talking about, which goes first? Oh, that one might scrub. Oh, that one might delay a bit. The fact that we're talking about these missions, the fact that we're talking about Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket, which is the size of SLS itself. It's a massive rocket. It's not another Falcon 9, but this is a big, big rocket, and a big capable rocket, and one that is destined to launch HLS hardware. So we're talking about lunar missions and what have you. We're talking about SLS. That's Artemis. That's a moon rocket. We're talking about Starship. That's a moon and Mars rocket. Those are the 3 rockets we were just talking about. And we're talking about launching within the space of weeks of each other, if not days. This is the era we're in right now. This is crazy if you think about it. So regardless about the potential scrubs and delays and launch dates and what have you, the fact that these are 3 active rockets we're talking about launching soon is bonkers. And if that doesn't get you excited, nothing will. Especially rocket fans.
Yeah, I mean, we have headaches over coverage over these being so close sometimes. But again, like, these are good problems that to have. I mean, this is genuine. Like, we have talked about having these problems, or just this cadence, or this amount of rockets, like all flying somewhat close together for years now, and it's finally a reality. And of course, we saw last January of 2025, where New Glenn Flight 1 and Starship Flight 7 literally launched on the same day. So oh my gosh, that reality is here, guys. Like, we're living in it right now, and then throw SLS into the equation with Artemis 2. Like, this is a big year.
Rude has taken the opportunity to do a super chat to say should be an SLS on the 1st of April, New Glenn 3 on flight 12 in mid-April. So you're going with SLS first, Brood. I do want to, you know what, if I get a chance, I'll do a poll, because that is an easy poll thing I can put up, because it's 3 questions. So it's not like multiple answers, it's just 3. But yeah, that is fascinating, because I think it is a fun game of what launches first, but I still will preempt it by saying these are like 3 massive missions, 3 big rockets, and that is a fun era to be in, because I remember the days where you were lucky to get a shuttle launch every 3 months, maybe a couple of Delta 2s in between, and that were it. That was your lot. Maybe an Ariane launch if you're lucky. Today is a completely different era. Jerry, any chance we can have a camera in the deluge area so we can watch the kiddie pool camera?
I think Jerry actually stepped away for a couple of minutes, so I think...
See, it helps if I read that, where Jerry goes, stepping away for 5 minutes. Oh, there we go. Very good. Yes, Chris, it helps if you read the back channel, where it actually tells you that, like a little programming production area. I do have a question for me, though. Alan wants to know, I'll ask you as well, Max. What are your thoughts on Dream Chaser?
Oh, God.
I love that vehicle. I really do. It's a shame. The big key point for it was during what was called a C cap, which was a decision point during a commercial crew program, where NASA had to down select from 3 to 2. And the 3 options were SpaceX Dragon, that was a given. The other option was Boeing Starliner, and the other one was Dream Chaser. And Boeing won, despite being the most costly bid. They won over Dream Chaser, which was actually the lowest, I think. I think SpaceX might have been lower, but either way, Dream Chaser was lower than Boeing on cost. The problem was it came straight after Dream Chaser had its tumble on the runway. And remember that in chat? Dream Chaser had a tumble. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jay, for doing the poll for me. That helps me because I got multitask. That was because Dream Chaser, the test flight, involved landing gear that was salvaged from a fighter jet. It was not the landing gear Dream Chaser would have gone with as an operational vehicle. So it lost its one objective thanks to hardware that was not related to Dream Chaser, but that was probably in the back of NASA's minds. Bill Gerstenmaier made a decision, in fact, on why Dream Chaser didn't win through. Max, take us into a parallel universe where Dream Chaser had won and Boeing Starliner had not won. Do you think we would have had 2 vehicles launching crew to the ISS regularly by now?
Oh boy. I mean, in a parallel universe, I guess anything is possible, right? And I guess it wouldn't be as poorly managed as it has to this point. I think, 100%. I think the vehicle itself is wonderful. I think it's just such a shame for it to have been managed the way it has by Sierra Space. Unfortunately, it sucks to say that. It really does. I hate saying it. And I was really hoping to see it fly back in 2024, back when Brady and I went to go see it at Armstrong in Ohio, attached to its shooting star module over there. And there was a whole big press event over there. It was really cool to see. And at that point, we were under the impression that it was going to fly later in the year, like Q4 sometime. But alas, that obviously didn't happen. It didn't fly last year, and it's likely not going to fly this year. That being said, Sierra Space, I think, recently raised some funding of, I think it was around $500 million, I think, recently this year, as was recently announced. So maybe it's not dead. Maybe it will fly after all. But we very well could have been seeing 2 operational vehicles flying to and from the space station, flying crew at this point. And also, it would have been a lot cooler to cover because, of course, space planes are superior in terms of design, at least visually.
It is. Nice little segue to another question here as well. Charles says, bring Bragg Shuttle. The problem was we stopped developing an evolving shuttle. Fair point. She was like an old aircraft carrier. We could be on our 3rd or 4th generation of shuttle. Good point. Well qualified, Charles, because there was a Shuttle 2.0 proposed. And that was a safer version of the orbiter. There was also segues to the space shuttle program. That was the X-33 Venture Star. X-33 was the test vehicle. That was for the Venture Star. That was a larger scale model. That was an SSTO, which is single stage to orbit. And that would have taken over a lot of the cargo requirements the space shuttle program was utilizing. And it would allow the space shuttle to maybe have that down period to go to a new generation of model, and then obviously do different kind of missions, which would have been less kind of workhorse and more kind of like dedicated and tailored. So yes, that's a very good qualification of your keep shuttle going question, but unfortunately that era has passed. Max, do you remember Shuttle 2.0 and X-33 Venture Star?
I do, and it was a real shame to see it canceled. But yeah, that was very that was a. I remember when I was little, I had a die-cast model of it as well, and I used to play with that thing all the time. But yeah, unfortunately, that like many other things has unfortunately fallen leeward. Yeah, it's Shuttle had. I mean, Chris, you had it said best earlier at the beginning of the stream, where what were the what was it? It was beautiful, it was wonderful, it was dangerous and expensive, or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and it's evolving that design when there was next to no other competition or really desire to bring crew and cargo to the space station or anywhere else that they wanted to go. It's tough to make a case for something that isn't necessarily broken. And mind you, Shuttle flew. I don't want to say unchanged because it did change quite a lot from SCS-1 to SCS-135. But like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And at the end of the day, it was mostly down to the people in charge of Shuttle as to why it had its downfall. Unfortunately, as much as it was at fault. Oh my gosh, I think the people who were the people who were running the program were just as oh my god. They were just as much to blame as the actual vehicle itself for how it performed. So, but obviously, again, the climate today it's much different than it was back then, and it is I would argue much better for it. But yeah, it does kind of suck to say that we will never see a vehicle like Shuttle ever again.
No, I don't think we will. I don't think there's a need to now.
No.
The fact that you've got these lifting body winged vehicles are basically catered towards it. Unlike the sci-fi and even For All Mankind, you don't need these winged vehicles going to the moon. The wings were only for the last part of the mission, which was landing.
Yeah,
That was literally it. There was no use on launch or anything like that. You'll see the Arions moving during launch, but that was not related to actual launch ascent itself. That was a big thing that we always have in the back of the past. I did notice Jerry's back by saying, "Vac, back, vac, back." I'm typing with gloves on. But Jerry, we're under T-minus 10 minutes, so we're getting excited for this launch, are we?
Yes, definitely. We are in the very important part of the count now as we're getting closer to the T-0 liftoff time here, and the vehicle is, I believe, nearly or fully fueled at this point, and we're getting close.
Indeed, and you'll see people in chat, bless them, doing it on my behalf by saying like the stream. People always ask me that. On Raptor sides where I do most of my commentary and what have you, people go, what's the benefit of liking a stream? There's no financial benefit of that to us other than the fact that you're promoting it. YouTube does take notice of the likes. When you like a stream, YouTube goes, their algorithm goes at least, okay, people like that stream, maybe I'll send it out to recommendations for people. Why is that a good thing? Yes, more views, but also you might catch some, let's say, fair weather rocket fan who may know what a rocket is, may have seen some launches, but they haven't taken much of an interest in it. They'll click on a stream and they'll go, oh, I really enjoyed that launch. And they start watching more launches and they get into rockets. Don't we want more people to get into rockets, people? Yes, we do. And also the second thing is YouTube and the internet in general, as you all know, is in this era of AI slop getting promoted. YouTube are guilty as anybody. They love their AI shorts of basically just made up, AI videos. We call it AI slop. Some people call it. Some videos are good, but some are not. And there's a lot of AI slop for rockets, and they tend to get promoted to those people I've just been talking about. You don't want new potential rocket fans seeing AI slop and then getting, I'm not interested in this at all, and never get interested in rockets. So liking streams, not just us, but the original content streams where we're showing live rocket launches and live rocket videos and rocket content. You like those streams? It helps. There we go. Little spiel about likes over and done with. But it is an important thing, and I do find it, great when we say this, that a lot of people then like the stream because people forget. It takes you a second to do it. And it's free. It's free to do. How wonderful. Leo wants to know, well, I'm looking at the clock, we're under 8 minutes to launch now. Do you not think that SpaceX, Max, this one for you here, do you not think that SpaceX has achieved their goal of rapid reusability when they can launch twice from the same pad in the same day?
I mean, no, because they want to launch tens of times per day, at least, with Starship once it reaches full operational use, and maybe they say they're targeting somewhere in the realm of like 4 to 5 years for multiple flights per day. But whether or not that actually becomes reality, we'll have to wait and see. But technically, at that point, that is pretty rapidly reusable, especially compared to what we see now with Falcon, and also Starship to this point, as far as we've seen it. But it also depends on the purposes being applied for the vehicle at that point and what it's flying for. So, I mean, technically, yeah, that would be rapidly reusable. I mean, 2 flights a day from the same pad, yeah, that's pretty rapid. And obviously being fully reused as well on the both the booster and ship side, I would say so. But SpaceX has ambitions for far more than just 2 flights per day.
It does. I mean, when Elon first projected some things like that, we're all like, Well, not all of us. Some of us like, well, don't bet against SpaceX. I always say that. Don't bet against SpaceX when they propose something. I always go, well, hang on a minute. Look at what they've proven. We all remember I remember the press club press conference where Elon was talking about bringing the booster back for landing. I was like, what, propulsive landing of a booster? That's crazy. But not crazy as in that sounds amazing, but it's going to take a lot to make it work. And look what's happening now. It's a regular thing where we'll see it today probably, where we'll see the landing of a drone ship, of a Falcon booster coming back from space, an orbital booster returning for a landing on a drone ship in the ocean. What? If you go back 10 years, you would laugh at people saying that, or 15, 20 years, you'd laugh at people saying that. But look at it, it's a regular thing now. So never bet against SpaceX. And when they say they're going to launch every single day with this Starship rapidly, fully reusability rocket, you don't bet against it. Because look what they've proven. It'll take time, but they've proven it.
I mean, there's a reason why reuse has become basically the stable or standard now for most new rockets being built today. Like that, that says enough.
I was going to say, everybody else is now copying it. And I say copying it in a very nice way because Elon himself likes it. We've seen Elon comment saying, well, finally Europe is looking at reusable rockets. Finally, China is looking at propulsive landing of their boosters. He's all for it. I mean, you could probably say that because who's the competitor to SpaceX these days? They really are owning the launch industry. Their master orbit is off the scale. They beat every other company in every other country combined on up mass to orbit. I mean, that's a fact. That's not me just being, woo, SpaceX. That is a literal fact. So that is where Elon can then say, well, the other ones can do everything they can to catch up. They'll never probably catch up with us, but let's stop throwing away boosters because we do need more rockets being able to do this rapid reusability to get this mass into orbit that achieves the goals of getting to the moon and Mars. Right, anyway, we've got SpaceX comms coming up soon because SpaceX is live. I did see a question saying, how do you get views from the rocket? How do you get views from inside the cabin? We have our own cameras, but also we can pipe in the feed from SpaceX. We don't have a camera we're seeing right now. That's not our camera. That's SpaceX's camera. So we can mix and match the two. That's why we get the other camera views as well. T-minus 4 minutes. Max and Jerry will have to let me know when they need to go off comms to do their little tracking of the camera with the booster launching. Let me know when that happens, and I will do less talking because I think you'd rather hear SpaceX talking with their communications about the milestones towards launch than hear me ramble on.
I am actually here with you the whole time, Chris.
Wow, I'm privileged. That's good because I will run out of things to talk about, and if I run out of things to talk about, I'll start rambling, and people will go, Chris, stop talking. Stop talking. It's a rocket launch. We will actually stop talking when it does launch because you want to hear rocket noises, not people noises. And I would be the first person to agree with you there. By the way, thanks Flippers for your gifted Red Team membership. If you ever get a gifted membership on our streams, just say thank you in chat. It's free for a month, no commitment. There's no sign on or anything like that. You get it for a month and that's it. But it's free, and that's cool. We got lots of cool things for members because I put it in there. There's actually a special offer. Special, unique, exclusive offer from the store for all members today, by the way. Leak. Not leak, we mentioned it yesterday.
Stage 1, locked load is complete.
Locked load is complete. T-minus 2 minutes and 40 seconds. What's the next call out we're expecting, Max?
So we should be hearing, we heard stage 1 locks load complete. We should be hearing RP1 load also wrapping up on the first stage, and also call outs for stage 2 loads being complete as well. So all should be coming up here soon, if not already.
And thank you to Jerry. Jerry is now going to go off and take his camera and point it towards a rocket. Good luck, Jerry.
Yep, see you on the other side. Thanks.
How are the winds, Max? Looks quite windy.
Yeah, it's still kind of breezy, and the cloud deck is certainly moving a lot, given the winds. But we are seeing a bit of remnants of the sun trying to poke through the clouds.
Stage 2 locked load is complete.
There we go. Stage 2 locks load complete. Very good. It's the most sun we've had so far today. But also the view that we had from the SpaceX pad camera, that one of the fairings there certainly has seen a lot more use than the other. But that is an all too common sight nowadays, especially on Starlinks.
I appreciate all the support in chat. I will mention them after the launch. I will not miss you out. But we have T-minus 90 seconds to go. Under T-minus 90 seconds.
We should be hearing the call out of there we go, ground gas closeout. Very good. The next major call out we should be hearing is Falcon 9 being on. Oh my gosh, Falcon 9 in startup, and that should be in a few seconds.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
There we go.
There we go. Launch director next. Go for launch, hopefully.
LD, go for launch.
There he is.
Jinx!
We're so used to these now. Well, yep. 20 seconds to launch. Good luck, everybody. We'll be listening to the rocket noises and not talking until we get through the launch itself. Good luck, Falcon 9. I think we got through most of the noise there. Max, you said that was sounded like a loud one. I assumed most of them are all loud, but that was a louder than normal, was it, Max?
Yeah, you know, I had my headphones on at first, and then my car began to shake pretty profusely. And I think it has a lot to do with just with where the cloud deck is today, with the sound bouncing off of it and being able to come back. But yeah, that was a very loud one today.
I missed my opportunity, by the way. I always think don't talk for the last 10 seconds before launch and let's listen to the rocket. But I remember Sawyer, when Sawyer hosts these, he tends to go Falcon 9, go Starlink, and blah, blah, blah. And I missed the opportunity to do that. That's a shame. Then again, probably a blessing in disguise with my accent.
Always next time, Chris.
Yeah, maybe. We're coming up on staging, by the way. We're coming up on 1-2 step, we call it, where the MD1 VAC will take ignition and take the payloads on to its orbital destination, and the booster will return for a drone ship landing. Here we go.
Engine cutoff.
There's your MVAC.
Separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition. There it is. It's a great view. You've got the left-hand view from the booster, the top of the booster, and the right-hand view from the second stage with the MVAC. One is pushing on. Yep. There's your 4 grid fins. I know people want 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Falcon 9 does have 4.
Yep.
Separation confirmed.
And there's your Starlinks.
Lovely.
Fairing no longer needed. The fairing protects the payload on all rockets on the way uphill. Once in space, it's no longer needed and it's dead weight, so they can jettison it. But the other thing with Falcon 9 and SpaceX is with the era of reusability, they will return those fairings from the ocean and bring them back and reuse them. The reusability of fairings is a big deal. People go, it's just the top bit, just the flappy bits at the top. No, they're millions of dollars.
Yep.
They are not cheap. And the cadence they have, the production they would need would cost probably even more. So the fact that they can reuse the fairings saves them a lot of money.
That cost adds up very quickly, especially with the rate that Falcon 9 flies nowadays. So it helps a lot to be able to scoop them up out of the water. And today, doing the job of that is Doug, stationed about 100 kilometers farther than a shortfall of Gravitas.
Elon described them as pallets of gold falling from the sky. True story. Yeah, he did. He did. They were talking about the project where, remember the old Miss Tree and the Gav
Yes, of course.
love
Yes.
yeah. The upside down fishing nets on boats. The goal of catching the fairings was because Elon wanted to see if they could catch the pallets of gold falling from the sky. That's how much they cost the fairings. He equated it as gold.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the other things that tells you how much, money and how much realistic savings that they get from this is those boats, Bob and Doug, I believe SpaceX owns those now. Those are not cheap to operate by any stretch of the imagination. The fuel cost, the crew cost associated with the upkeep of those boats, maintenance, you're talking tens and tens of thousands of dollars every week, if not every day. That's a lot of money going out, but if it's a lot of money coming in, saving in the fairings, it's all worth it in the end, and they keep on doing it. So it kind of speaks for the economics of that, program.
It does. Welcome back, Jerry. Did you enjoy tracking through the clouds and not seeing anything?
Yeah, the clouds are definitely here. I believe it was very close to the sun, to almost like a solar transit, but I can't even see the disk of the sun, so it's kind of a moot point when you can't see the sun and there's supposedly a transit. But yeah, it went up into the clouds. You saw the plume for a little bit sneaking through the clouds, but then it just got too thick and out of the way, and it was gone.
I know it's not the full track, but I do like when the exhaust goes through the clouds. I always go back to the most famous one, which was the extremely low cloud deck for the Buran, the one and only Buran launch. If you go back on YouTube and look for a Buran launch, you will see what looks like a nuclear explosion just lifting off in seconds. Oh, hello, what was that?
Stage 1 entry
Coming up
burn
on.
startup.
Yep, there we go. Here's entry burn. This is when Falcon 9 lights up 3 of its 9 engines 1, 5, and 9. As Sawyer likes to say, fight fire with fire to decrease its speed enough to re-enter the thicker portions of Earth's lower atmosphere in preparation for landing. Otherwise, Falcon 9 would be tearing itself apart coming through the atmosphere at the huge speeds that it does. Now back to one engine here on visually
Nice.
and shutdown.
Very nice. That went perfectly well. Surfboard of fire. Another little phrase for you there from the SpaceX. Surfboard of fire.
Surfboard of fire?
Yeah, apparently you'll know from the ground view, when you do get the tracks of it, it does look like it's riding a surfboard of fire as it's doing that 3-engine burn.
You know what? Kind of does. Yeah.
That's what the SpaceX call it. Well, some
Like
of them.
the Silver Surfer.
Landing burn will be next. Yeah, the Buran launch, go check it out. It's brilliant. It really is an incredible launch into low clouds. It just looks incredible on the video itself. It was a secret launch at the time, back in the Soviet era.
The one and only time, unfortunately.
Yeah, the one at a time, sadly.
Now the grid fins doing their work as more air becomes easily. I was about to say grabbable or grippable by the grid fins, but they certainly are having more effect now as Falcon 9 descends into the thicker parts of the atmosphere where they have a lot more control authority. Hauling toward the cloud layer there. Look at that.
Amazing.
Coming up on landing burn here shortly.
Under 1,000 kilometers an hour, and this is when it'll ignite the single engine.
Stage 2 is in
center
terminal
engine.
guidance. Stage 1 landing
Here we go.
burn.
Oh my! Wow.
There's your clouds.
There's your clouds.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
There we go. Good touchdown of B-1090. After its 11th flight, successfully landed on a shortfall of Gravitas. It was dancing there a little bit there.
Yeah. But again, you saw the grid fins. The grid fins really come into action for the final part there and just help guide it. Again, I always mention on streams I'm on with Falcon 9's launching and landing. Big shout out to an Englishman called Lars Blackmore, who is now an American citizen but works at SpaceX. He was pretty much one of the nominal orbitals insertion. That's good news as well for the second stage. But he's one of the key people at SpaceX who allowed for this technology to work, where they could bring back the boosters and land them. And he's now working on Starship. So people get excited about, will Starship be also able to do what Falcon 9 does? Well, Lars Blackmore is working on Starship. So there we go.
Already into some replays now, Chris.
Very good. That's good news. Because you guys want to go to bed.
That went right into the clouds. I mean, that disappeared a lot faster than I thought it was going to. I'm not going to lie. Oh, almost there. Almost into the clouds.
Jay's mentioned his audio, so I'll be very quiet not to mention too many things.
Oh, that was from the drone ship, Chris.
Oh, is it? I'm still reading back from the audio from the drone ship. Very good.
Yeah, because we had audio from the drone ship. We should also be losing Falcon 9 here in just a couple of seconds. Punching right through the cloud layer, right there, and she's gone.
That's cool. No, I like that. I think I know it's not great for tracking, but it is great to just see it punch through the cloud layer.
It is very pretty. Yes.
Yeah. While we're watching these, I want to thank some people. I always make sure I never miss people out who support us, because without the support, and I genuinely mean this, this is no like, well, you could easily do YouTube with no support. YouTube doesn't pay that kind of level of money. We need community support to make it viable, and that's why it's so important we get it from Astro95, which is Nathan. Hi, Nathan. Shuttle friend Nathan. Post-launch caffeine for Max. Cheers, gents. Thank you, Nathan.
Yes,
that's great. Yeah. Oh, Bideford as well. Bideford, one of our absolute regulars. Thank you, Bideford. Bideford's even got a command in chat. I'm going to do Bideford command. Hang on. Bideford. There we go. Multitasking. Has a chatbot command, because Bideford is such a regular supporter. Was in a meeting all the way through this. Wow, you had an early meeting, Bideford. And finally got to see the launch. Good day, everyone. Good day to you, Bideford. Thank you for your support. And Aaron Quark has become gifted a Red Team membership. So Aaron has not thought about himself there. He's gone, I'm going to give someone else in the community, who I don't even know probably, a gifted membership for a month. That is a wonderful thing to do, Aaron. Thank you very much for your support. Very much appreciated. That's a good view. Whose camera is that?
That was Jerry's track, and that pitch over was very aggressive. But I guess with the wind direction today and just where it needed to go, that I guess was needed. But yeah, that was quite aggressive. Into the clouds.
And again, it's hard to judge it, but the plume on that rocket is I'm trying to think how many yards. I'm trying to translate it to Americanisms. It's not a short plume. That is a long plume. Yeah.
It's also difficult to see detail in it just because of how bright Keralox burns. I mean, if you really expose your camera down like super dark, you can actually begin to see mock diamond structure in it. But of course, it's incredibly bright, and your camera has to be exposed very dark to see that, which most aren't in most cases.
It's Daz's favourite view. He hates that. I don't know where it started. Someone started it saying that's Daz's favourite view. An empty launch pad means the context there is it means it's been a good launch. There we go. But yeah, I don't think Daz is a big fan of that. Anyway, that's been another successful Falcon 9 launch. Starlink 1046. Thanks to Jay Keegan in the background being producer for us. And thanks also to Max being out there. Thank you, Max.
Of course, pleasure as always, everyone. Thank you for coming to hang out with us this morning, and we will hopefully be seeing you again later this afternoon for a Booster 19 rollback, maybe.
Indeed. Thanks also, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry.
Of course, yep. Thanks for spending your morning with us if you're tuning in to the stream here, and hope to see you again for the next one.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, the next stream will likely be the Booster 19 rollback from Pad 2 to the production site. We will be doing live coverage for that with dedicated coverage and commentary, because it is a Flight 12 milestone. Even though it's a rollback, it's still a milestone. So until then, thanks for joining us. Until next time, goodbye.
and here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.